Just got to notice. Buy anything on Amazon Prime?
It's funny you say that, David. No, I have not. I was looking at the only thing I noticed that kind of caught my attention was Stream Deck. Was down to $100.
Was it really? Holy crap!
Not that I really need it, another
I
one,
mean, right?
but
I didn't see. I didn't see that.
yeah,
I couldn't
that
believe
was,
the Apple TV 4K 64 gig is 129.
yeah.
109 for the 32 gig.
I really, it's interesting. I mean, maybe I'm spoiled, but I really didn't see anything that jumped out at me. I mean,
No,
I've got AirPods,
Oh yeah,
and of course
$99.
the best deals seem to be on the Amazon stuff, which I really don't care that much about.
Right.
So
That's the best price I've seen on the Stream Deck.
yeah. I mean, it almost makes you want to invest in another one, even though that would be overkill to say the least.
Let's have I'll have them on one on the left and right of me right here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, play them like keyboards.
Yeah.
So, hey, there's Webb. Let's get this in. Mr. Sklar.
Hey.
What's going on?
How you doing?
Doing good.
Awesome.
Doing good. See if I can find my notes.
Telling you, sometimes having two monitors is not as fun as it should be.
No, I like having two monitors. I like
do
having
too.
three.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I found I have a bunch of monitors hooked up to my Mac and my Windows PC, and especially a Windows PC when it goes to sleep and it comes back up, there's mayhem of trying to get all the monitors to try to come back up and do it what it needs to do.
Yeah.
And then obviously the beta of Ventura has its issues with dual screens, which I'm working on now. It doesn't remember my wallpaper settings every time I do something. I don't know. Not a big deal. And it's gonna fit.
Okay. David, as a contingency, I'm going to make you co-host because we've been having some weather here.
It's coming here too, by the way.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that if anything should happen, the recording at least can be closed down in a consistent manner.
Yep. We just got a thunderstorm warning. Yeah.
I want to pull the radar picture and see here.
I did that.
Whoa! Shoot! Look out! That was close.
Thunderstorms.
Yeah.
You're a bachelor this week, Warren?
I'm a bachelor until Friday. I've been a bachelor for all last week too.
Okay.
It's like I haven't showered today. I'll go that far.
Did not need to know that.
I
Warren,
did not
but
need to
thank
know
you
that
for
either.
sharing.
But I have showered every other day I made it. Just today was today I didn't see the need of it, so I didn't do it.
For the chat room, I apologize. It's off the rails already, and we haven't even started.
I smell fine. Yeah, so Friday we go to the beach. And then I think she leaves for Chicago and then I meet her. I don't know. You have to ask me these questions, Dave. And I was like, I don't know. I don't plan any things. She tells me when to go and get on the plane, and that's what happens.
Hey, Jim.
Hello, Jim.
Hey,
Long time no see.
Yeah, I guess what we missed last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I think Mark was coming tonight. I know Jeff said he couldn't. Brittany said she doubted it. Didn't hear anything from Frank or Guy.
Guy already told me he's not coming. His
Okay.
voice is hoarse.
Isn't Frank in rehab?
I say Frank's out for a while.
I think he is. Yeah. That was sort of the last I heard. So
Well, he got
I
out. He said he got out somewhere. I thought he said.
He got out of, he was on COVID protocol.
yeah, out of quarantine.
Okay. Yeah.
So he could go into rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So right at the moment it doesn't look like there are any impending thunderstorms, but
They tried to make me go to rehab. I said, no, no, no.
was that mental or physical?
He's riffing on a song,
Thanks,
Oh.
Mark.
The question still applies.
a really good song.
Amy Winehouse. Bless her soul.
Did you see the documentary about her?
You know,
Nope.
I made it 2 hours in, and then I'm like, you know, what, it's too much. It's like a 3 or 4 hour thing, and I lived
No,
in.
it was about 2 hours.
What was this
Yeah,
about?
it was long, but it was good. I lived in London. I lived the next town over from Camden Town, where she kind of
Really?
around. So, and we still go back to London here and there, and they have a statue of her in the middle of the marketplace over there, which is interesting. But
I missed who you were talking about.
it's Amy Winehouse.
Oh, yeah,
British,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah. My
Thank
friend
you,
Mark.
Warren, because I was completely blanking on the name.
Uh, she she had problems. My friends and I had not a bet, but there was a death pool like in the forum I was in, literally about a year before Amy Winehouse died, and it basically said first to die, Amy Winehouse or Britney Spears, because at that time they were both about close to ruining themselves. And
Warren, I would never admit that I had anything to do with something like that.
Mm.
well, it's a forum. I don't know. There's
I wouldn't
Listen.
even admit I knew people that.
It's-
it's the internet. Well, there's Reddit. Welcome to the internet. People talk.
I haven't
people.
seen the internet. I'll
Yeah,
have to look into it.
Might have been a while, but yeah, people who are semi-anonymous on the internet seem to have less filters and worry about people judging them because they're pretend people. But yeah,
Gee, you think, Warren? Hmm. All right, gentlemen, it is 8:00. Let's do it. Excuse me. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Underpants.
I knew somebody was going to do it. I just wasn't sure who.
Oh, you can't. You have to pay homage to the Jeff.
To the Jeff.
I thought it was going to be me, but
Yeah.
Warren was just too fast.
All right. So here we go for real. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to MacVoices. That was great.
Loses.
Okay. Take 3. I'll see if I can keep my voice together. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, MacVoices Live is back. It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We are in the chat room there, and we would love to have you join us. We already have some friends there with us already, and hope with more will log in. We took last week off because of the July 4th holiday and the fact that I was taking a little time off. I came back and I'm not sure quite how I sound because I came back with a bit of a sinus infection, but what are you going to do? That's vacation, right? So we're going to play catch up on a couple things, have some interesting stories to talk about tonight, but we wanted to do something a little bit different and invite anyone in the chat room to throw any stories in that are on your mind that you'd like to have us comment on or see what our thoughts are. So if you have something that's really burning deep in your mind, pop it in the chat room and see what's going on. We'll try to be entertaining and informative, or at least entertaining. Let's go around the room, find out who's here, and then we'll take it from there. First up, as usual, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to see you.
Good to see you as well, Chuck. It's glad to be back here on a Tuesday, having some fun here, talking about stuff. There's been a pretty good amount of stuff going on this past week. That's 2 weeks, I should say. So, looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Still bacheloring from his basement, Mr. Warren Sklar. Warren, I'm starting to suspect that you're not married.
Yeah, I got well, some days, Chuck. Some days. I 3 more days of freedom, I think is what I got. But I miss her. It's going to be good. Good to be here. Mark, it's a cool background, but it's freaking me out. After a few minutes, you get like, what's going on there? So I can't look at you. But yeah, it's good. It's good to be here, and yeah, happy to talk.
Great. Well, since Warren mentioned Mark, I'll jump right to Mr. Fuccio. Mark, good to see you. And I wonder why you have Amazon packages in your background today.
Oh, I think Amazon is trying to create a summer holiday called Prime Day. And it's 2 days this year. And I haven't looked to see what the specials are, but I have the background image, but I'll change it to something else, so as not to distract Warren.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely don't want to distract Warren.
I'm with Warren. That's pretty disturbing.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It's just the way it comes out of your head. And
well, it looks like those are his arms, right? It looks like go back for a second.
Yeah,
it looked like, so like if you put your arms down, it looks like you're permanently holding up the packages, and that's and then when you show the other 2 hands, then you look like a 4-hand.
Oh, there's another hand there. Mm.
Yeah, well, that's a little better, but
yeah,
when you're like right in the middle of it, it looks like you're doing this with the packages.
well, but it also, I guess the hands,
But
are the
it
hands
also looks
right?
like he's some kind of contortionist.
Well,
Yeah,
no, he's
yeah.
doing this. He's
Last but absolutely not least, Mr. Jim Ray is back. Jim, it's good to see you.
It's good to be seen. I have
Yeah.
no packages in my background.
No.
But like Mark, now we both have Ukraine.
Ah, yes. So I guess we have to start there a little bit. David and I were talking pre-show, but I did not take advantage of any Prime Day deals. I didn't see anything that really jumped out at me. The only thing that I saw that I thought significant was that the Stream Deck, was on sale for $50 off at $100, which is a pretty good deal. But beyond that, I didn't see anything that jumped out at me.
Well, it didn't jump out for me, but it jumped out the fact that my wife needed a new Apple Watch. She's a Series 4. The battery was bad, so grabbed her one of those for $279. That's like the lowest price it's ever been for a 41 millimeter size to watch. So that's pretty gosh darn good deal. And then I know the Apple TV, for those who are looking for Apple TVs, they were selling them as low as $109. It's like $90 off. So not everybody wants Apple TVs, but
I thought about it, and I'm like,
besides that, yeah, I agree with you. There wasn't anything too exciting that really stood out.
I got a few things. Are you ready? I don't know if
few?
you're around. Yeah.
Okay.
They have, I don't know, the portal from Facebook was normally like $200, and it's $30. So I picked one up for $30, and I hear, if anything, it makes a really good photo frame. If you do use Facebook, it will take your Facebook photos and kind of scroll through them, which is kind of cool. Also,
yeah, but Warren, I'm not picking on you. I'm very serious. You're the first person I've heard that would order a portal. A Facebook
Facebook
video
portal?
device.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know other people have it, but I never got one. I read that they're neat. But again, I have no use for it. But for $30, $30, you know, if I don't like it, I won't
Guess
use
they're
it.
giving it away.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so Amazon's going crazy with their own devices, right? You could buy every single one of their own devices on sale. So like, I mean, how many more Echo Dots do I need? How many more Echo Spots do I need? I have so many, so I don't need any more. But
Oh yeah,
Uh,
80% off.
which one? Did you find it?
The
portal?
Meta portal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, $30. And if it bothers you, you could probably cover the camera. But again, for $30 for like it's supposed to be really good for people like older people who want to communicate with their family, because not this one, but they have a few of them. There's one that actually follows you around. It was actually what's Apple call it? Stage motion, that it follows you.
Stage Manager.
It was Stage Manager before Stage Manager came out, but it was, I think, motorized, right, Dave? It followed you. It wasn't a camera trick. It was an actual thing that moved with you, so it followed you around. Where Stage Manager is a camera trick, more or less.
Although you have to wonder if this is not really a prime deal, because it's $34.99 regular price too. So
What, that
maybe-
thing?
yeah, that's what it says on Amazon page here.
No, that I haven't seen any Facebook portal ever less than 150. They had 3 models.
You can buy it new and used $34.99. So
Yeah. Anyhow, I got that, and I got a USB-C charger from a multi-port charger, because I was working and I realized my tablet was dying and I panicked. So I went on Amazon Prime and I bought a charger that comes Saturday.
Good. So let's see. A camera device by Facebook that automatically tracks you. What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
I'm telling the right group about this stupid camera that, we all have a million of these cameras watched us in the house and whatever. But yeah, it's a Facebook thing. But again, even if you use it just to flick through your Facebook photo albums, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So we have a special guest joining us any second now, I hope. Special guest, are you there?
On.
always,
Hang
Hello,
on.
special
Hang
guest.
on.
always has those Zoom
I am here,
challenges.
but I'm hardly
There he
special.
is. There he is.
Wow.
There
Mike
he is.
Potter.
The perpetrator of MacStock himself.
I respond to strong arm tactics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird. He was on a video I watched today.
Yes, he was.
Strange.
Indeed.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was there.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jim. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate you. I appreciate you remembering.
I was tied up at the office, so I didn't get to watch. But I wanted to make sure that Mike Potter got here and gave us a quick rundown on MacStock, since by this time next week, I think many of us will be packing to come to Woodstock, Illinois for MacStock.
Quite a few will. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
hope so.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, Mike, what are the updates? Because I know we're laughing about the fact that Mike did a live stream today, one of his regular live stream updates. And unfortunately, it was at noon, so I was at the office, and Jim apparently was wherever Jim was. So,
Well, you're very kind to call it regular, for one. I appreciate that. In my favor, since the last one I actually did was in April, so it's on a somewhat regular schedule, I suppose.
okay,
3 months.
Okay. Do we have updates, Mike, or is it just pretty much as things have been? Things are going off as planned, and we're going to all get together and have some fun.
Well, that's the priority, right? The priority is to get together and have fun, and that's what MacStock is all about. Yes, there's learning. There's that learning component. I always mention that every time, and we always have fantastic presenters. But getting together and getting to see each other, in some cases for the first time in 3 years, is really what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah. As far as updates, I went through pretty much the last minute updates I send every Macstock. The things I like to remind people of, what to expect when you check in the mornings, important links to know, what the weather is going to be like. I mean, talking about the live stream, I completely forgot to mention, look, you got to dress for the weather. If you get cold, bring a sweater. If you get warm, dress in layers, because that's just what happens when you're in a conference center and you've got so many people, all these 98.6 degree bodies in a room. It's very hard to regulate that temperature. And I completely forgot to mention, dress in layers or bring a sweater. But you know, the weather looks like it's going to be reasonably good. Who looked it up, Dave? I think it was Brett looked up the
think it was
longer
Brett,
range
yeah.
forecast.
Mhm.
I had a 10-day forecast, and Brett looked up a little bit longer and said, yeah, it's supposed to be around 90 on Saturday and around 88 or so on Sunday. So as I said,
Typical summer in Chicago.
typical summer in Chicago weather. You know, we don't have temperate here. We have either unbearably hot or unseasonably cool. And then, you know, maybe some rain or dry weather mixed in between. But I think I even said, Dave can agree. Dave can agree to all of this. That's just summer in Chicago.
It is.
Bring a big suitcase and lots of different types of clothes.
If you have that challenge.
Yeah. But you know, we did have kind of a fun update last week. Martin reached out to me. You know, he's been to every Macstock since 2015. He reached out to me and said that he and Brett Kennedy are going to be in town, and they're going to stay in town. They're going to stay in Chicago through Tuesday, and they're going to 2 Cubs games. They're going to be bleacher bums. They're going to be sitting out there in the bleachers, and they wanted to invite people to come along and join them if they were willing to. So I think that's going to be a good time. Anyone who wants to go along, Cubs games, Wrigley Field, just being in Wrigley Field.
Yep.
It's such a historic field. You know, I grew up going to Wrigley and Comiskey. Well, there ain't no Comiskey anymore. It's gone. They raised it. So, you know, the
Guaranteed
classic stadium. What's that?
Guaranteed rate field.
But you know, it's kind of like going to the Green Monster in Boston. You know, it's one of those classic fields, and you really feel like you're at a ball game when you go there. Now, you know, it's not an official Macstock activity, but it is something that folks who are coming into town, they're going to be having a great time at Macstock, and they're going to continue that great time on past through Monday and Tuesday. So I thought that was fantastic. And as I mentioned, that was really the main impetus that got me to put out the live stream. I was going to just kind of set it aside. Yeah, we're a week and a half away. Let's just set it aside. Let's just do newsletters. That's what people were telling me. They liked the information in newsletters anyway. But then Brett and Martin came along and said, hey, we're going to be doing this thing. I said, let's do a live stream. It'll be fun. And let's see, what else? I always like to tell people about the volunteers, who to look for, you know, who to ask for help when you're there, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, how about if we address the elephant in the room before we, you know, just and get it out of the way? What kind of COVID restrictions or guidelines or whatever are you implementing for Macstock? Because unfortunately, it is still a concern that's out there for a lot of folks.
Oh, it's very much a concern. It depends on where you are in the country. It depends on where you are in the world. We're a little fortunate here in Northern Illinois that, you know, we're only at, you know, our counties are typically only rated medium or low around here. Let's say, I think Chicago is bordering a medium high. We're medium here in McHenry County, but the county just south, like literally 5 miles down the road, is rated low. So we're kind of in that range right now, but there are many parts of the country where it's just running rampant right now. And we do have people coming in from all over the place to Macstock, including Martin, who's coming from Europe. So one of the things I implemented early on was a couple health and safety protocols that we haven't let up on. We haven't made them more restrictive, but we haven't let up either. And that involves proof of vaccination and indoor mask requirement for everyone who's going to be at MacStock. It's the best way that we can help protect those who are in attendance, short of not holding it. Short of not
Right.
holding it again, that's the best way we can protect everybody. And when I did the survey back in January, a lot of people told me that's what they wanted to see, and that's what I implemented. And once you have people sign up who sign up because you put certain health and safety protocols in effect, you can't pull those back. You can't say, oh, well, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, it doesn't matter. And now suddenly I've got, a third of the audience who said, well, I was coming because of that. So I didn't really see a window where it made sense to lift up on that. So that's why we still have them in place. And I gave everybody has an out. Everybody had an opportunity to get a refund, exchange their ticket for a gift certificate, which was something folks were asking me for. They wanted to roll over their tickets for another year. And I said, well, let me come up with something that works for everybody. And it's MacStock gift certificates, so that they can exchange their pass for a gift certificate and then use it towards a weekend pass purchase for future MacStocks. And then I also have something new I came up with this year, which is called the Community Fund, where those who said, let's just donate it to a good cause. Let's find somebody else who wants or needs a ticket. I wanted to create a somewhat more official way to honor those folks who made those contributions to the MacStock community. So I came up with this MacStock Community Fund. That was the third option. You could get a refund, you could get a gift certificate, you could donate to the community fund. And we have a nice little community sponsored sum of money that we're going to use in the future to help people come to MacStock who might not otherwise be able to afford the full ride. So that's going to be sitting there and not touched and used just for that purpose from this point forward.
Good deal.
So,
Good deal. Yeah, I think people, it's so easy to forget that a lot of the plans that you make have to be made well in advance. And you make commitments, not just to attendees, but also to services, to the facilities. And it's not so easy to just pull back or change the rules just because maybe the environment has changed. As you said, it introduces a lot of different dynamics. So
yeah.
The road to MacStock rolls on. I think that by the time,
thank you.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, I think we will have talked to all but 2 or 3 presenters. And I know one of them is out of the country right now. So I'm trying to get him corralled once he gets back. But so I know I'm looking forward to it, and I don't know anybody that is going that isn't looking forward to it. So
Good. Warren's first time too.
First time. Yeah.
Yeah, Warren's
So-
first time. Which day were you coming, Warren? You're coming on Saturday
Well,
or Sunday?
Sunday, and I can't find the email that I would have gotten for some kind of receipt. Did I pay you? I bought it, right?
You did. Yeah, you
You
did.
did. Okay.
I can certainly look it up and resend it to you if you want.
All right. So you won't stop me at the door because I don't have anything proving that I bought something at this
You're
point.
on
I
the
can't find
list.
it. Okay.
You're on the list. Yeah,
He's official.
I purposely created one of my frequently asked questions is, do I have to bring a printed ticket? I mean, everybody gets a PDF, they get the email, they get all that stuff. And I'm like, no, we know who you are.
All right.
You,
If
no, you're fine.
all right. And then also, I'm excited. And the math thing is, I mean, it's the right clientele. Your audience is very mask conscious and friendly, I think. So I think it's, and we're in that age group where it's good. I mean, I think it's fine. And I'm sure it was hard for you to figure out whether to allow it or not, because that's going to be the big
Yeah.
thing, right? But I think it's the right choice.
Me too.
And then, so I'm flying to Chicago on Thursday night. Friday, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Apartment shopping with my wife on Saturday. So Sunday morning, I'm going to try to get from Inner Loop, Dave?
No, the loop.
The Loop.
The loop.
The Loop
Downtown.
downtown.
Chicago.
So I gotta leave 7. I gotta leave in the morning. So that's my goal, is trying to figure out the best
Yeah.
way to get from A to B. And I have looked into the car rental. So the car rental is $100, and the park overnight at the hotel is another 70. And because the car won't be returned until after closing. So that's $179. And I looked into the train, the train's 2 hours. So
Yeah, from downtown.
so I don't know. I'm guessing I'm just gonna suck it up and rent a car at 7 and pay the 170. But if there was like a faster route, I would pay double that at that point, because you're paying that much already.
I don't know that there is a faster route other than
No.
maybe, ride sharing. What do you say, Dave? I think,
Yeah.
train, the problem with the train, and I realized this after the live stream ended, Warren,
They stop
because you were asking about it,
Yeah, Dave
is
said they
the
stop all the
limited
time. Every
hours.
stop. Oh yeah, that too.
The stopping every stop's not a problem, quite honestly. I mean, I'll tell you,
And they run every 2
I
hours.
always purposely took the train that stopped at every stop when I worked downtown and I came home, because it was always less crowded.
Yeah. My wife does
Always
that
less
too.
crowded. I could get the seat I wanted. I could spread out. I could put my computer on the seat next to me
Yeah.
and sit there and work and stuff. So I always took the train that stopped at every stop. And I
It's
guess
fine.
I
I
didn't
went on
think it was,
I went on the website, and basically I mapped it out for that Sunday. And if I left at 7 o'clock, I'm not getting to you guys till 9. Where was it? No. Yeah. So it was 9. Which
well, if it's any consolation, the
and
only
that's when
thing
you
going
start,
on-
right? You're
that-
starting.
the
at
only
9,
thing
right?
going on at 9 is me. So
Yeah.
if you get there by 9:30, you'll catch the first, real
Okay.
presenter.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I'll probably rent a car. And
So,
go from
so
there, yeah.
somehow this turned into Warren's Travel Plans podcast. I don't,
So it's exactly-
yeah,
I was stressing
Yeah.
about it today.
yeah,
I saw
yeah.
the opportunity in front of me of some people that could help me.
yeah.
I didn't even know.
I
I couldn't even remember if I bought the stupid ticket. And now you
gonna say,
got
yeah.
Mike on board, and I'm happy he's here.
Yeah,
So-
Mike, you missed an opportunity there. You could have had a little extra revenue. Just no, Warren, you didn't buy a ticket.
Warren,
Yeah,
you know.
You get to buy 2 or 3.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely am the kind of person. I've had people purchase a second weekend pass, and I immediately write them back and say, guess what? You already had one. Let's get you your money back. And we do it. So I make sure.
He does.
A couple things in the chat room. Brian said that taxi service that was recommended last year was ideal. Specific pickup and drop off days and times both ways to O'Hare. I'm not sure what taxi service he's talking about. Maybe Mike?
Probably Route 47 taxi and transportation.
Okay, Route 47 taxi and transportation.
Yeah,
So
they're good guys. They have clean cars and all that. Now that is what they're referring to is the pickup at the airport. Now, as far as going downtown and picking up Warren and bringing him back, I don't know. It's worth reaching out to him and see.
Well, my question is O'Hare the same distance from O'Hare to Woodstock as Chicago downtown to Woodstock? I don't know how the airport goes from the city.
We could talk offline, Warren, too. I can help.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
question.
yeah.
But yeah. Let me.
It's
No,
close.
exactly. If you guys have a good idea, let me reach out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've never had any trouble getting like a Lyft or an Uber from the airport, or for that matter, back to the airport. So
Right.
It's pretty accessible. So
Yep.
it's not too late, folks. You can join us on Sunday. You might even see Warren show up, get his autograph.
Great.
Don't know why you would want to, but he'll be there.
It's my NFT.
Hey,
So-
look, I'm thrilled to have Warren there. I think that is absolutely awesome. I was so happy to see your ticket order come through. Been watching you with Dave for all this time, and it's great to have you out at Macstock.
My wife agreed to it because she's there for work anyway, so we got the hotel paid for it. And Saturday, the reason I'm not coming Saturday is because she wants me to go apartment shopping because she works in Chicago, and now the COVID restrictions are lifting. She's in Chicago more than before, and it's going to make the balance between hotel costs and an
Mhm.
apartment. It's kind of doing that. So we're going to do apartment shopping, and the only day she could do it is Saturday. So
Yeah. So you'll get there for Sunday. You'll get there for Sunday.
be fine.
Mike, what is the cutoff date for tickets? When do you say, sorry, can't do any more, or will there be tickets at the door?
I probably will not do tickets at the door this year. We have done them in the past, but it's just kind of nice to know ahead of time how many folks are going to be there. We do try to build a little, okay, to answer your question, Chuck, we're kind of in that window right now where if a ticket is purchased, I might not have a t-shirt for you on the day of MacStock, on the day you show up. I might have to have it made and ship it to you later. We should have enough food. I always try to make sure there's enough food in there so that, we do have a few people sign on, we're covered, no problem. And we're even covered there anyway, because I'm still finalizing things with the caterer, as I mentioned during the live stream, and they're cool. They're on board. Everything's good. But the only real sticky wicket is I might not coffee. We'll address that in a second. We'll address that in a second, because that's important to me. Is there going to be coffee?
I gotta factor in the time I would need to stop at Starbucks before I came to drive to you guys. Yes.
So we should be good. Anyone who buys a ticket between now and, well, really Friday, but a week from Friday, I should say. But the only issue is I might have to mail you a t-shirt later. I do always try to order extra shirts. So it's very likely that there will be one. And if someone does buy a weekend pass, before you take off at the end of day Sunday, or before Sunday ends, check in at the registration desk and see if we have an extra because someone didn't show up or what have you. And that happens too. But if we have enough, everyone will get one. But that's really the only odd thing. Now, as for coffee, so this is the first year that the conference center, the school, McHenry County College, was not able to accommodate us with catering, and they're even not able to accommodate us with coffee and water and stuff, which,
Wow.
I get, maybe they're listening, maybe they're not. I don't know. I find that strange. Really? You don't have the staffing to get coffee together for people in the morning. Okay, fine.
Vending machines.
Well, they do, but Warren, who wants vending machine coffee? Right? Nobody wants vending machine coffee.
No, I'll be
But-
driving to the nearest Starbucks.
And there's plenty of those around here too. So,
Yeah.
so you don't have to worry about that. But we are going to try to have some of those boxes of coffee, most likely Dunkin'.
Box of
Could be
Joe.
Starbucks, but we'll probably get those so that we have coffee there. I don't know why anyone would want it, but we'll probably have decaf as well. But
Even
if it were up to me, it would be the Dunkin' Midnight in all the boxes of coffee. It would not be any of this, regular roast stuff or decaf. It would be dark roast all the way. But that's me. So we'll make sure that there's some regular roast and some decaf for those who want it.
That's great.
Yeah.
So max.conferenceandexpo.com is where you go to get your ticket. Folks, if you don't have a ticket, get it. Well, wait till after the show, but then or open a window beside this one and go to max.conferenceexpo.com and join us. Dave's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Warren's going to be there. Jim, you're not coming? Is that correct?
No,
Okay,
not
you're
coming.
not coming. Jim, excuse me, Mark, you're not coming.
I'm not coming, no.
Okay, so you got 3 out of 5 of us here that are going to be there.
Didn't
A
Jeff
lot-
say he was coming?
No,
Don't think he's coming.
no, he's not.
Yeah, I
Oh.
think he had a conflict.
Right.
But a lot of the folks you see here on MacVoices Live will be there, and we would
Kelly?
love to have
I
you
think
join
Kelly's
us.
coming, right?
I think Kelly's supposed to come, I believe. So we will see. But anyway, the point is, join us. We're going to have a ball for this or that weekend, and you will come away learning things, meeting new friends, seeing old friends. Nothing better. Mike,
And,
thanks so-
I'll be there too.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that kind
Yeah.
of goes without
So
saying.
so we really have 2/3 of us are going to be there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like an interloper. You know, I've been invited on this before, and it's the first time I've shown up because I kind of like, you know,
Well,
Chuck put my arm behind my back and said, "You got to be there tonight." So I came on, but I really should be on more often. And I've said that to Dave. I think I need to be on there more often. Oh,
well, you're
Jim.
always-
No, I said it to Jim. I was talking
Yeah.
to Jim about that.
yeah, we are always welcome. And please stick around for as much of the rest of the show as you can. I know you had some internet issues tonight, which is why we didn't announce anything pre your arrival, because we weren't sure you were going to get it back. But
Don't get me started.
yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not going to. So Brett in the chat room says he will be there too. So good. That's Brett. Brian, I'm not sure you're, I think you were there before. I'm not sure you're going to be there or not. So yeah, we have a lot of folks here that are going to be there. So again, Mike, stick around as long as you want. We'll get back to the regular show here, but I want to make sure you got on, especially since the whole question of Mac stock and the scheduling is so timely. So.
I will stick around as long as you'll have me. And I'm not really sure how long that is because I realized my Apple Watch was out of charge when I came down here. So it's sitting on the charger upstairs right now.
Well, that means you could stay longer.
There you go.
Well, I'm gonna juggle our topics a little bit because a couple of things will come up now, even as we're discussing. One though, I wanted to make sure we got in. Mark Fuccio, I wanted to ask you. This is more of a public service announcement, and one that I'm kind of disappointed at, and I'm hoping isn't going to be the truth. But we wanted to have you talk a little bit about Drobo.
Yeah, sad situation. Drobo and its parent company and other sister corporations all filed for Chapter 11 at the end of June. So Drobo, for people who've been watching, they haven't been shipping products for a couple of years. They've always been, since the pandemic, listed as sold out on their website, Amazon, B&H, other places. So not quite sure what's going on there. I heard through some of the scuttlebutt last year that they're having disagreements with their contract manufacturer, and but all things come to an end. I gladly worked there from 2005 to 2011. Did a tad of consulting for about 18 months, ending in November, December of 2015. I've got a bunch of Drobos. I have 3 on the desk surface next to me. So they don't all of a sudden get a message, oh, the company's having financial troubles and it's time to die. But a couple of people have contacted me about it, and my recommendation is that based on whenever you think you're ready, start to look for another alternate replacement. Now, it's possible the company may come out successfully. It's a Chapter 11 reorg, and looking at some of the court filings, it looks like maybe there's an infusion of cash coming, possibly, because you have Drobo. They also bought Retrospect, and a flash memory company and other things that have been running as independent divisions under a holding company called Store Centric. But it's who knows what's going to happen. Because notoriously in bankruptcy, people get emotional and they get greedy, and great deals can blow up. So I think best thing is sort of things I'm looking at are Otherworld Computing. They have some really great DAS Thunderbolt products.
Synology.
Synology, yeah, Synology is NAS. I think a lot of people talk about NAS, and a lot of geeks slam Drobo because they weren't a NAS company. NAS was at most 20% of their business. The bulk of their sales were in direct attached storage. USB, various flavors, eSATA, Thunderbolts of various flavors. So NAS was just sort of a just piece of bread to sop up the extra gravy left over on the plate. It's not absolutely key to what it was doing. And I think maybe the recent management team, I think they got maybe suffer from the head fake of, have to be NAS company, and they're focusing on NAS products, which for creatives, as everybody knows, for Apple for a long time, even Apple does not really have a strong NAS solution. They're really great on DAS. You plug the storage into your Mac, and then you can enable file sharing from your Mac, which is a much better NAS solution than anything that Synology or QNAP or any of the other companies out there have. But that's water under the bridge. And I think from back in 2007 when it launched, the market's changed, and a variety of things I think are really eroded the competitive need for a Drobo. Number one, the rise of streaming services like Netflix, and Apple TV, and all the others, Disney, etc., as well as music streaming, and that mitigated the need for people to have big, safe, secure storage to house their digital library media collections. Then the other thing, frankly, was hard disks took off in size. I mean, we're joking earlier about Prime Day. Well, you can get a WD 12, or maybe it was Seagate 16 terabyte NAS drives for about $250 ballpark. It's not, the page is not in front of me at the moment. So
Western Digital.
Yeah, so those are enormous, and if you have two of those, that basically took a swipe at the Drobo's big storage pool that can grow as you need it. The hard drives came up. Now certainly there are a lot of people out there have tons of media that they get an 8-drive Drobo and they fill it up with 8 or 16 or 12 or 10 terabyte drives. But that's an important, profitable but small part of the market. So it's sad to see it happen, but this is life, in the Silicon Valley, and founded in 2005. That's had a 17-year run. So that's long as far as a lot of startup companies in this valley. So time to move onward. And if anyone has questions, if they're listening in the chat rooms, fire them away, or you contact me at Twitter at MARKFUCCIO. And so long, the king is dead, long live the king.
Yeah, Mark, I'm with you, and Drobo holds a soft spot for me, first of all, because that was where you and I first met, when you were manning a booth at Macworld. And I walked up and said, "Tell me about Drobo." And here we are, all these years later, and it's been a great friendship and a great relationship. And there are Drobos in the background here that you can see. There are more Drobos in this room than I care to confess to, and I still have FireWire Drobos running. So they're great hardware. I guess my biggest concern about all this would be the software support for them going forward. That's one of the big potential bugaboos. So we will see. I wish them the best and hope that they come out of Chapter 11 and everything goes back to being the way it has been. But it was something that Mark and I decided we better mention, because I know I've advocated for Drobo for a long time. Obviously he has. And you should be aware of some of those things. Next up, I want to copy this and throw this in the chat room. Oh, shoot. No, that was not it. Sorry. Okay, well, I know it's here. I just got to find it. But apparently Johnny Ive and Apple have terminated their design-based relationship. And Jim, you just put this in the chat room, in our private chat room, as a hot story.
He'll survive.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
I think he'll be all right.
I assume it was his idea.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. But this, I think it's really,
I don't think
really
anybody's shocked about it. But I'm not. This wasn't going to last that long. I think, the first step was getting him out of Apple, and this was sort of a string to kind of hold on to him, and it's not going to last forever.
Anybody else surprised by this, or have any
No.
specific reaction to it?
Not surprised.
Yeah.
No? Okay. Well, maybe it's not as big a deal as I thought it was.
I mean, it might be a big deal to some people. I mean, his firm has been poaching a lot of designers from Apple as it is anyway, so he's going to have a lot of employees for his design firm as it is, and has he definitely has left a legacy for Apple, that's for sure. But he's pretty much not been active other than being a consultant for a lot of years. So
Yeah.
The
It's-
man
I
it's-
wonder what it is
live
he
his
wants to
retirement.
do anyway.
He wants to retire. He's good at getting. I think so. I mean, how
Well,
old is he?
he's not retiring.
I know, but he's trying to work less so he has more life. I think that's why I left Apple.
Well,
I'm
he
thinking.
could not work at all, and he apparently is not doing that. So
Yeah, on some people it's hard to stop because you're famous and good, but
I don't know. I mean,
like Mick Jagger.
if you
60 years.
read the After Steve book by Trip Mickle, it's really an interesting profile of not just of Johnny, but he figures prominently in the book, and he really is a designer's designer. To the point, and we've had the discussions here about someone who values design even over functionality at times, to the product's detriment. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see, what he does if he ever comes back to the mainstream, or if he just goes off into some of those more exotic design projects that you see that really don't have a place in the mainstream, but are lauded by design fanatics.
Well, it seems like that's the direction he was going in. And it seemed the last couple of years at Apple, he got involved in designing, the glass and other things for the building, then doing ceramic watches and other things. So he's been experimenting with different, sorry, I have a dog panting here, but he's been experimenting with different material.
Yeah. So
seems like most people are pretty happy with the direction of Apple design since he's been not involved. So I think that makes this less of a story.
Jim, the one thing I don't know is I don't know how much of his design philosophy is carried over into what products. I mean, obviously the farther in time we get away from his involvement at Apple, the more we're going to see,
Right. But you look at laptops have gotten thicker with more ports, which seemed to be the opposite of the trend when he was there.
Mhm.
And
There's a course correction going on.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I think people are like, yay. So, not that I'm necessarily saying this, but I think people might be like, oh, good. There's no chance he's coming back and screwing that up again.
Yeah, that wasn't going to happen.
yeah, I mean, he did so much for Apple and
No,
so much,
absolutely.
The iPhone hasn't changed much since he left.
I
right?
think,
the iPhone's
Yeah.
almost the same. Maybe just
Yeah.
a little thicker. I think they made it a little thicker.
Well, I don't know.
with
Look
one
at
of the
that that
batteries.
camera
Yeah.
bump
Yeah, was
keeps
that
getting,
after him?
pretty soon it'll be a camera bump with a phone attached to it.
Yeah, I'm sure Tim Cook doesn't like that either. I mean, it doesn't take a designer to say that doesn't look great on a phone. But
No, but
yeah.
physics.
but it does take, Warren, it does take somebody to make the call. At what point do you elevate design?
Right, and that's what
over
happened when
size of the bump?
Johnny was there. He, it was harder to make the call with Johnny Ive saying, no, just keep going with my direction. This is how, I see an end of what I'm looking at with thinner and lighter and no ports. And his end was going to be like this great machine that doesn't need ports and doesn't need to be thicker. But then, people said, no, that's not what we want. So then, but Johnny would fight. And then ever since he left, now Tim Cook doesn't have anybody to fight with over that. So,
Yeah.
that's
So
why
imagine
everyone's
imagine thickening the depth of the iPhone so that all of the cameras were within the phone instead of bumping out, and then using that extra internal volume for battery. I'm not sure. I mean, that probably give you 50%, 60% more battery life. I think that
but
would be
everybody would
a
hate it.
huge and enormous.
Yeah, I
Be
know,
pretty
but
heavy
nobody,
though.
nobody's going to want to carry, my wife will look at the new phone and not know anything about it and say, no way. Look at look at that. I'm not carrying that.
Well, so you can get an SE. I mean, they have plenty of room in their product line.
You know,
Well,
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The normal consumer is not gonna. That's what Johnny's
Yeah,
you know
don't care.
philosophy is. The normal consumer cares less about battery life and you know some of
And
the
I
other
think in
things.
that regard, he's wrong. I argue.
Well,
I think channeling some of what Jim was
right.
alluding to is, he got carried away, and he ceased, his vision ceased to being helpful to their Macs, and it was actually destroying functionality for a lot of power users. So
But he had an end game. He had a vision of where he wanted to go in the company, and he had a vision of, like, 20 years from now, what an iPhone is going to look like, and what a MacBook is going to look like, or whatever the goggles or watch is going to look like. And he had to convince the board every year to not listen to most of the people who, like us, wanted more ports and we wanted better battery. But
Or
there's
wanted-
also
wanted borders on buttons so that you could tell they were buttons.
people want, eventually Tim Cook watched The Simpsons with the Homer car and says, there's a point where we got to stop listening to everything that people want in a product and make big boy decisions on how the product's going to look. Otherwise, that's a struggle, right? So that's a struggle between a designer and the CEO who has to put it out.
So anyway, long and short of it, he had a good run, and
Yep.
The world changes, and people and companies diverge and need to go in different directions. So that's what happened. I wish him good luck.
Yeah, and who knows? It doesn't mean that a deal can't be re-inked or renegotiated, and he comes back in some fashion. Honestly, it doesn't seem likely, but hey, never say never.
Right.
If he should do the keynote videos with the guy with the hair. That would be his calling. If they just brought him back to do the videos with the hair.
But he
Force one,
supposedly didn't like doing that.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
that would be the joke.
I think he always seemed to be happier being in the background, and pulling the strings.
He's the designer.
than-
He didn't want to be in the spotlight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well-
I was not going to touch this story, but Mark kind of has forced me to.
Oh no! Oh no!
Warren,
Don't blame
Warren,
me.
what did you say that this is Elon Musk bingo?
Yeah,
mean-
if the his filter produces these, I don't know if you guys see it, but like little check marks on some of the Elons, and it looks like they come and go, so it looks like he's crossing them out and playing tic-tac-toe or bingo.
Oh yeah, the I see what you mean now. And now I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
The way the camera's handling the background.
Just an observation.
Does anybody have any thoughts on this? I mean, is
Well-
Elon wrong? I know right now, the way I understand it, Elon says that Twitter has overstated the number of bots on the platform, understated the number of bots on the platform, or really can't tell them how many bots are on the platform. And Twitter says it's given everything that Elon asked for and more, and they know exactly how many bots, which that in itself scares the daylights out of me, because then if you know how that you have that many bots on there, shouldn't you be doing something about it? But
Get
that's
rid
a
of
whole nother discussion. Who's the good guy, who's the bad guy here? I mean, it seems like Elon's taking a lot of heat for this, but I'm not sure that if I buy his argument, I would not feel real good about trying to put down 40 anything.
Right, exactly.
Well,
You know.
so you shouldn't have signed a contract that said, I'm doing this and
intent.
I'm giving up, I don't need any due diligence. He's,
Jim, ultimately, this is going to be the legal
yeah, it's
gray
gonna be-
area of
it-
if he relies on their their SEC reportings, and those are subsequently proved to be materially false, even though he didn't have necessarily due diligence period, does that preclude his reliance on stuff that under Sarbanes-Oxley, Jack Dorsey and now Parag, whatever his last name is now, and their CFO, have to sign and attest to the accuracy of. So I think this is going to be a really interesting court case.
Chuck, to answer your question, I think Elon was never really serious about this deal. This is a guy who tweets something about dogs and crypto, and the crypto markets change. You know, he likes doing that, right? He likes playing with the stock. He likes the fact that he's this one guy who could affect markets in different directions. And I think,
Right? He's
You
done
know,
it with Tesla.
so yeah, he does that with Tesla all the time. Tesla, he'll say something and it never happens. And then, he does it all the time. So he just, somehow I don't know how it's legal that he does it, but whatever, he does it.
They've gone after him.
$1 billion. I'm sure the guy doesn't want to lose $1 billion to get out of it.
Well, from what I'm reading, 1 billion is the floor. It's not the ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay. I just heard that
Twitter is
wrong.
not asking for $1 billion. They're asking for 44 billion.
They want him to
The initial thing was a breakup,
purchase.
like a breakup fee is what they were saying, right? In the beginning, the
Right,
$1 billion
but
breakup fee.
Twitter's not. They're saying no breakups.
You
Oh,
need
they
to
said
go
that
through with
now.
this.
Initially, that's what they were saying. Initially, the contract had that. The contract had the breakup
Right.
fee. So I don't know. So if the contract had a breakup fee of $1 billion and Elon broke up, I think it's cut and dry. He's going to pay the $1 billion, and that's going to be it. To be honest, right now.
Right.
What I
And
think-
that's why I think, there's this, I think there's probably two negotiations, or thoughts of negotiation strategy. One is, okay, this puppy is not worth $44 billion.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It's back down to almost where it was pre-pandemic.
Right.
Today, market value is 26 billion. And even that seems like maybe that's, 1.8 times the S&P, 2.2 times the S&P, average PE multiple. So Twitter has, I think, a long way more way to go down than it has to go up. So that's one thing. And Twitter, their board, they got sucker punched at is 54.20, offer per share. So they want to sell at that price. Otherwise, they look like fools and incompetence to their shareholders. Musk, I don't think they saw this coming. His concern about, spam bots. That's why I think, this is in a clear, interesting legal case of, yes, he forego due diligence in terms of additional interrogation with the management team, but he's relied on their public findings, and he's offered good faith evidence that the 5% number is wrong, and Twitter just stonewalled him for several weeks on it's very complex, and we can only tell you, only God could figure it out, and then we have to shoot him because it's all of our top secret proprietary information that we can't tell anybody. And then Musk went on a number of podcasts and things and was saying, oh, I think it's easily 20 or 25 and might even be 50%. And then I think that put Twitter on the defensive. And then they came back and basically said, okay, here, we'll let you have everything. We'll have access to the daily feed. I think they're hoping just to drown them in a spray of data. So who knows what he's discovered since then. So we're back. He's saying, okay, you guys, your public filings are materially wrong. You're continuing to not give me the information I need and request, which he hasn't enumerated what that is in his letter to break up. I suspect he's keeping his powder dry for a court case. So, right now we're having two parties, one saying, we're suing you to close the deal as is. Now, one thing about that is there was a contingency that, a lot of the reports are saying, oh, well, there's a specific performance clause in the contract. Twitter is suing him to insist that he go through and he purchase it as long as his debt financing is in place. Well, at this point, if you were any of those lenders, would you be willing, to go through, because the issue about spam bots, directly will affect their revenue, their ability to generate revenue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, that money is going to be scarce and this is not going to be there. So I think on that face of it, yes, he has a defense that he doesn't need to buy it. Then the other thing is, yes, he negotiated, if this breaks up, it's seemingly for any reason, then he's on the hook for $1 billion. So does he want to forego his $1 billion, or would he rather buy it at some number like, say, 10 or 12 or $13 billion, 75% off of the original deal? And for that, we can have lots of barroom discussions and barroom fights and debates, but we'll never know until, the experiment runs out in real time. They go to court and we see what actually happens. And since then, I say, get a bunch of popcorn, get your favorite adult beverage. It's going to be really fascinating to continue to watch this.
Yeah.
One thing that I saw today that was interesting was the question of, let's say Delaware Chancery Court rules against him.
Mm-hmm.
How do they enforce that? And that one of the ultimate casualties of this may be the prestige or, whatever, the credibility of Delaware Chancery Court. Because they may have no way to enforce a ruling against him.
It's, as I say, just get your popcorn.
Get your popcorn.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Mike, you're sitting there looking very thoughtful. Any opinions on this or feelings
Oh,
about
no,
this?
I was just thinking that Elon Musk is a spam bot, and I think he's afraid of the competition.
Yeah.
I think that could be-
I like that. That's a good point.
Wow. But that really doesn't have anything to do with it. I mean, I don't care if he loses $1 billion.
No,
That's awesome.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, he's lost way more than that, just in Twitter stock declines, so.
I think it was Mark who made a good point that, sure, he breaks up, he pays $1 billion, market value goes down, he swoops in again, buys it up for a fraction of what he was originally going to buy it for.
Well,
I
yeah,
think it was Mark
the
who
other
said that,
interesting
right?
question
Or was
is,
that Jim?
will Twitter survive? Or maybe Microsoft will buy it, or Oracle, or
I would much rather have Microsoft or Oracle. I'd much rather have Microsoft buy Twitter than I guess Oracle wouldn't be too bad. I'd rather have Microsoft.
I'd rather have Microsoft.
I'd rather have Microsoft buy.
I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to, disappear and vanish and go away. It's,
well, I hope it doesn't, but MySpace, anyone?
I was just on it 10 minutes ago. What are you talking about?
MySpace or Twitter?
Yeah.
I don't think I was much on it when it was a thing.
Again, MySpace or Twitter?
MySpace. Twitter is about the only social network I am on. I will never be on Facebook. Technically, I guess I'm on it, but I'm not there. Don't bother sending me a message on Facebook. I'll never ever see it.
Mike, we're kindred spirits. I'm exactly the same.
I am also.
Yeah. Every day I consider whether today is the day I
got all your
my
checks.
Facebook accounts.
The Nigerian prince was trying to reach the three of you on Facebook, and he reached me because I checked my Facebook.
And you now have $1 billion.
I now have all the money.
There you go.
And
Twitter.
Boss.
I'm buying
So
Twitter.
So you can.
And you
buy
had to
those-
what? Give him $100,000 in advance, Warren?
You give them $100,000 and ship them computer parts. Yes.
Hey, I'm throwing a link sort of to wrap this part of the conversation up. I'm throwing a link into the video version of Lex Friedman's podcast. Mark turned me on to this podcast a long time ago. The particular link I just threw in is a conversation with Elon Musk that is really, in my opinion, worth listening to, because the guy, just whether you like him, whether you don't like him, he has a different way of looking at things, and to ignore him is, I think, to really not give enough credit to a different way of approaching some of the problems we have, and not just Twitter necessarily, but pretty much everything he's involved in. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't recommend this podcast highly enough. It's one of those super lengthy podcasts that can go for 2 or 3 hours, So, you better be prepared. My personal way of dealing with it is I look at who the guest is. And if it's somebody I'm interested in, I'll listen. If not, I'll skip over it. But they're always really great conversations. And so, Mark, thank you for turning this onto this, because I look at it and I think, oh, there's another 3-hour interview. But then I go through the 3-hour interview and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here. So
I think that was a Christmas or Mac, a gift guide recommendation.
I believe so. And I've, dug in, and and Lex himself is kind of an interesting guy. And it's, by the way, it's not the Lex Friedman you might know from Macworld days.
Right.
It's a whole nother Lex Friedman. So,
You know what, Chuck, I'm sorry not to keep
no.
this going even longer,
No,
but you're
go.
not wrong. There is a lot of value to thinking different, to looking at things with a slightly skewed viewpoint. And you can say that about Walt Disney, you can say it about Steve Jobs, you can say it about Henry Ford, you can say it about Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla. You have to look at things with a skewed viewpoint to make a difference. That's why I love having the younger folks come to MacStock, because they always look at things with fresh eyes, and they always look at things with a slightly different viewpoint that us old fogies are never going to see. And I think it's amazing when we have a 13-year-old show up at MacStock, and she starts schooling the folks who are standing around her on some piece of technology that they look at as just this thing, and she looks at in a completely new way. And suddenly everyone standing around her is like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And here's this 13-year-old teaching all of us something new, because she or he looks at things differently. And there's a lot to think different. There's a lot to the intersection of technology and liberal arts. These aren't just phrases. These are ideas. These are ways of approaching topics. And I think it's so important. Now, whether you're right, I don't agree with everything Elon Musk does, but there is something to be said for just looking at stuff with a little bit of a crazy eye.
Okay, since you did it, Mike, I'll bring this up. When I came back from NAB, I talked about riding in Tesla's under the convention center in the Loop. Well, I just came back from Vegas again, this time being on vacation. And since April, which is when NAB was, they have extended the Loop from the convention center, from the let's see, what is it, the South Hall over to the new Resorts World Casino.
Wow.
That tunnel is open and running. We took a ride in it, and it's there. And there are plans for a lot of other places, and it's like, this is happening. I mean, Elon does.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the photos you've seen with the rockets coming down and landing, right where they're supposed to again. And thinking about, I think it was Webb in the chat room said he's, under full disclosure, he's driving a Tesla. Think about how many Teslas you see on the road, and what has happened to the electric vehicle market because of Elon Musk. So love him or hate him, he is having an influence in a number of different places. Maybe some not always positive.
How long have vertically landing rockets been a thing? Several years now. And whether it's Blue Origin or whether it's Elon, I'm completely blanking on his SpaceX, whether it's SpaceX or Blue Origin or whomever, seeing a booster land vertically on the ground and not topple over the second it hits the ground just blows my mind every time.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's magic.
You
guys were talking about Drobos earlier. Talk about a callback. I'm going to do a callback here. You're talking about Drobos. You know why we love Drobos so much? Because they were magic. You could take any 5 drives and stick them in that Drobo, and they just worked. Anyone who worked with NASs or other types of direct attached storage, that was not a thing. That was not a thing. Drobos were magic. And I do hope that Drobo sticks around because of that. But it's the same thing as those vertically landing rockets. They're magic. No, I know they're not magic, but
Yeah.
they are. You know, that's what magic is.
Any
You go through
sufficiently
generations
advanced
and generations
technology
of-
is indistinguishable from magic.
Mhm.
There you go. Exactly.
Thank you, Arthur C. Clarke. Yep.
Exactly. I knew exactly what you were going to say. Yep.
Yep. Paul in the chat room, this is really well said. Old guys have rules, new kids don't.
Yes.
That's-
Exactly.
That's really well
Exactly.
said, Paul.
I
That's really-
absolutely love it
Don't tell my son
when we
that.
have those young kids at MacStock. Absolutely.
My
Yeah.
son has rules. and he's-
Yeah, but he just has different rules, Warren.
I hope they're the same. I hope they're the same ones I give them.
Yeah. Okay, the next one, next story. We are playing a little bit of catch up here, folks, because we were off for a week, but I'm throwing this in the chat rooms now. Mark, I think this is one too. Oh, Mark's gone, unless he's hiding. But he brought this one. Apple Mac shipments grew in Q2 2022 amid continued worldwide PC shipment decline.
Yeah.
And I think I saw today on Apple World today that Gartner had said now that Apple has increased to like 9.3 or 9.4% of the global market for Macs in spite of everything, which I think is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
In spite of, what do you mean by in spite of everything?
Well, in spite of supply chain issues
chain,
and,
right.
you know, the fact that maybe things aren't quite as accessible as some folks would like them to be.
Well, the other manufacturers may have worse supply chain issues.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah, but you look at this chart and you got 9.3% growth with Apple, and then everybody else is in the negative. So look at HP, 27.5% decline in growth. I mean, that's huge.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's good too. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see. But yeah, Apple
Now,
continues
if
to
they
grow.
would just all buy software.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very early in the show here, Webb put up a question and we didn't get to it at the time. Other than ordering a new M2 MacBook, is anyone waiting on a new Apple product? I need to replace a desktop Mac. A new Ultra Mac Studio won't deliver until October.
Yeah, it's the supply chain. It's crazy. I'm putting in orders.
As I said a million times, check Best Buy. I was in there the other day that had Mac Studios.
If they have what you're looking for. If you want a
Right.
custom Mac Studio,
Custom, yeah,
you
you're
might,
gonna be.
no.
you might have
Best
to
Buy
wait.
never does custom builds, but
Yeah, it's gonna
Best
be
Buy
the
does off the shelves. But they
standard build.
have
Well,
a lot
Mike,
of
you
them.
just bought one.
Do check Apple's refurbished store, because even Mac Studios that are, you know, base end, low end Mac Studio,
Mhm.
that sounds so weird to say. The
Yeah.
low end Mac Studio runs circles around. Anyway, even the low end Mac Studio with a 2 terabyte hard drive and, you know, 32 core GPU is in their refurbished store, and it's at a decent price. So, you know, it's worth checking. Also, it's interesting that Apple seems to be catching up on some manufacturing too. I do know somebody who purchased a Mac Studio custom build. They were told it was going to be the end of July, early August, and it shipped July 1st. So, you know, you might be told one thing, but my experience has always been whenever there's a delay on an Apple product, it almost always ships early. Now, that's just my experience. I know people who've had a lot worse experiences than that, but my experience has always been when Apple says, hey, it's going to be 6-8 weeks, it almost always ships early. I don't know why that is. I certainly don't have any pull with them, but for whatever reason, in almost every case, when I do special order something, it comes early.
So just real quick, I'm looking at the Best Buy because I saw this before, but the MacBook Air 2 that's coming out Friday is what, shipping I think not till August for all models at this point. Every model, every base model or the base model at Best Buy, they all say doesn't matter what color, that it ships by the 27th of July. So I'm telling you, they get them and try it.
But if you, I mean, I think the point is if you need to stock, if you need a stock configuration, it's not too bad. It's when you get into the customs. Now, I sort of to what Mike was saying, we have 2 custom MacBook Pros on order at work. One of them just arrived today, and we didn't expect to see it until sometime in August. The other one is not here yet. It's the absolute top end, and I'm hoping to see that in the next week. So
Yeah, I mean, I ordered them too, and I ordered them back end of May, the beginning of June, and they said 7 to 9 weeks.
I promised myself I won't buy the new MacBook Air unless I get rid of a couple of laptops I have already.
Well, we know
so-
that. Warren.
Well, I mean, I actually listed a bunch of them on OfferUp, and I'm going to do Craigslist and probably Facebook because I have just all these Windows laptops. It's just too many, so I can't justify it.
You have a problem.
Does anybody interested in HP laptops? I have 2.
No.
No.
Cheap.
no,
The key
Hard
there,
pass.
Warren, is you can't tell people they're HP laptops. That immediately discredits the laptop in any technologist's mind. I think that's the problem right
Just
there.
call them laptops. Leave out the HP.
Just call them laptops. Don't even mention it's an HP or
Leave it up to their imagination.
yeah. I will never.
it's a
look at
Windows
laptop
laptop.
that's-
Is it a Mac?
that's an
Is it a
HP.
Windows? Is it what is it? Yeah. No,
It just when they bought Compaq, the whole thing just
My
went,
God, that's
went to
going
heck.
back.
Yeah, but that's when it happened.
I know.
That's when it happened. That was the nexus point at which Compaq and HP both went down the tubes.
And then what's her name tried to bring it back, and they took her out. Sue
Yeah.
Whitman.
You know,
What's
I'll be
her
name?
honest,
Meg
their server line was
Meg
still
Whitman.
good for
Meg
many
Whitman.
years.
Yeah.
Their server line was still great for many years, but the desktop, the PC line, awful computers.
All
Don't
right.
buy
So
them.
since we're going there, how many people have
unless
the,
you're buying
how many
from
people have the
Warren. If
tablet?
you're buying a laptop from Warren, go ahead, buy an HP.
No. How many people had the tablet? The first HP tablet that they fire sailed. Do you remember that thing?
HP had a tablet.
Yeah. They came out.
Everybody had a tablet.
They came out with the first tablet, and it ran its own operating system, and
Oh yeah, I remember
it
that.
didn't take
I didn't.
off.
I avoided
but-
that.
None of you had these. This was like the biggest thing.
You
link
buy
it.
them all, Warren. I mean, of course.
Yeah,
you
but
got-
This was like a fad actually at one point on the IT community because they were fire selling them, and people were figuring out how to root them, and it was a whole thing. So, but there's a whole story in that if you want to go back, because it was basically the time where you had the HP tablet, you had the BlackBerry tablet that had just came out around that time, and they were all trying to compete against the iPads and Android too. And
Look who won.
but the story was the HP tablet was rated the best. I mean, people loved it, and they were, it was close to being dominant at one point, and then for whatever reason, I think
What
Meg-
universe was this?
oh yeah, are you
Just like
this
Windows
Twilight zone?
Mobile. But
Holy
that went
crap.
over too.
Yeah,
seriously.
I,
Where you guys are just as old as I am.
send us a link, Warren.
I was at the
Ah.
debut of Microsoft's Windows Tablet Edition at Navy Pier in Chicago. So
Yep.
that was sad. That was
Touchpad.
sad. That
You guys don't remember the
oh,
HP
the
touchpad?
You know what? Now that you say it, I do remember.
Jesus,
that.
it was a thing. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
I
it was a
remember.
thing.
Holy crap.
Well,
Yeah.
somebody, if Warren says somebody loved it, maybe somebody loves it. I literally don't even remember it.
Here.
They loved it so much that they couldn't bring themselves to buy and use them. They wanted them.
Exactly.
Well
This
said.
article is basically exactly what I just said.
I-
It's
I
a
have a
fault.
thing against
Basically, it
HP
was
personal computers. I'm sorry.
I started typing Hewlett Packard Touch into Google, and the first thing that comes up in the autocomplete is touchpad not working.
well, it doesn't
There
work.
you
'cause
go. There
it's
you
not
go.
working because it's 10 years old and hasn't been looked at. And it's not
Discontinued
working.
2011,
Yeah, it was literally
launched 2011.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
and when did the iPad come out? Right, 2011, same year.
2010.
The lifespan was July 1st to August 18th.
Read into it. There was actually
Yeah.
a time in the period where iOS
But it
On an
was
iPad,
really
it was
big on July 23rd.
it was about to lose out. It was about to lose out to this HP Touch thing. And it ended up. Yeah, no,
Warren.
I had three of them. I had three to touch.
I'm sure you did. We have a message from the chat room. Paul in the chat room says, "Hey Warren, I have Swampland on sale, 1/2 off." So,
My question is, how
They're still
well
selling
does
it on
the
eBay.
It
tablet
ran
run
Web
Linux?
OS.
Yeah, that was it. So it ran
Oh.
WebOS, and it was literally getting to a point where it was overtaking the iPad, and people loved it. And then they mismarketed it, or something happened, and it
Initial
fell apart.
sales device was 25,000 of 270,000. Did not meet HP's expectations, rapidly becoming overshadowed by the launch of the iPad 2.
Yeah, 2011 is when the iPad 2 came out. That was
You-
On
and that was
August
their big.
16th, Best Buy refused to pay for any more.
So then they had the fire. So if you do a search on the fire sale, you'll see that they were selling these $300 tablets for $30.
And you can
people
still
were
get
just
them on
like-
eBay to this day.
You-
Yeah, and
Here's
people were
what you
just like,
do.
they were buying them just to have them. Yeah, I mean, it was weird.
Here's what you do, Warren. You
Yes.
open up one of those tablets, you pull out the system board,
Yeah.
keep the display in it, buy one of those nice little Raspberry Pis,
Mhm.
stick it inside, connect it up to the display, load Linux on it. Now you have a functional tablet.
So Mike, before you came on, I told everybody I bought a $30 Facebook portal from Prime Day because it's $30. And not that I
You're
want it.
talking to the wrong person about Facebook, buddy.
I know,
don't-
but
yeah,
it doesn't
I
matter.
don't want a
It
Facebook
doesn't,
portal.
it can run Fleetbook for all it matters, right? I'm going to take it home, disconnect it from the board, and hook the monitor up to like a Raspberry Pi and run something on it.
Well,
See?
there-
$30.
okay,
I
That's a
got a
great
$30
use for it.
screen. There you go.
It
Use a
should
full
tell
now.
you something. It should tell you something when these portals are selling on Amazon Prime Day for $30.
$30. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
my
well, it's a
God.
fire sale. What kind of
Oh.
Yeah.
Um,
They should
hey,
be burned. That's true.
we,
Facebook is the devil. I know.
Mike, just
They are.
think of how much fun you've been missing by not
Yeah,
being
look
here
at
on
you.
Tuesdays.
It's been great.
Oh, hey, one
Blood
wanna wrap-
pressure's going up just thinking about Facebook.
Yeah. I want to wrap up with one last thing. Because this came out, I think, after the last Mac Voices Live we did, but it's now a little bit long in the tooth. But this thing where Amazon said that Alexa could, speak to you in your deceased relatives'
Mm.
voices if you sampled this enough. And I looked at this and I thought, this is not a bad idea, except that the way you marketed it. I mean, if you were able to feed it Sean Connery's voice, I wouldn't mind at all having Sean Connery talk to me.
Yeah.
But talking about having your deceased relatives. I mean,
No, you're seeing
why-
it wrong, Chuck. You're seeing
I-
it wrong.
Okay.
This is the first step towards an echo-enabled tombstone. That's really what they're going
Yeah,
for.
you can walk up to the tombstone. and just-
Cemeteries are going to be filled with tombstones that are all echo-enabled, and you'll be able to talk to your dead relative. And I don't know. I'm just pulling this out of my ear, but
And
imagine.
it sounds a hell of a lot more fun than a normal cemetery. I'll be honest with you.
And they do.
That's how they do it in
there is a-
Italy.
It's
I mean,
isn't
if my parents said we're going to a cemetery and they said it's the one with the Alexas where you can talk to the dead, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Oh, Lord.
Rather than staring at a rock.
Jim, isn't it California? Isn't it California, Jim, where there's a cemetery where they do that? Not with echoes, but isn't there one where you can record
Like a
or have a
recording?
recording of your deceased relative's voice come out of the headstones? I thought that was in California.
It could be. I haven't.
You
I've
haven't
not been to
encountered
that. I've not been to that cemetery.
Chuck,
The
Chuck, is
two-
it
the two
creepy or sweet?
cemeteries I go to, they don't have that.
So the
I
question
have
is it
often
creepy or
thought that
sweet?
it's, in this day and age, though, you go to a cemetery and it's like a name and two dates and maybe like beloved, whatever. And that's it. And, it's like, wow, that's this whole person's life. But I think in Italy they have a lot more. They put all these plaster pictures all over and put a life story, and they really get into it. So maybe there'll be a market for this in Italy. I don't know.
Or
Yeah,
I
I
know
want a
here,
tombstone like at the Haunted Mansion at Disney World. You know, here lies Uncle Ned, a big fat rock dropped on his head, that kind of thing. That's what I want.
That was a Pirates of the
Except not
Caribbean.
Uncle Ned in a rock. I want something
Yeah.
that describes me, you know,
Yeah.
a nice little haiku or a poem or something to describe
You
my
know, I
life
think
with
there
a
should be
little
a
bit of humor.
QR code that I can,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. Hey,
bring it
you know
up on
what?
my phone.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised because here in this area, and I'm sure it's other places, but the headstones now are being engraved with, I mean, images of the deceased, and they're
Mhm.
like
I have seen
really,
that.
they're really good images. I mean, you know, there's no
Yeah.
question about who you're talking about,
Imagine how
and
that
maybe,
cost.
yeah, and maybe their, you know, their favorite vehicle or their favorite boat or, you know, whatever was important to them. So, you know, as much as we're laughing about this, it probably isn't beyond the realm of possibility, especially the QR code thing.
Everybody has a smartphone. You can walk right up to it.
Another Brian in the chat room says, I've been to cemeteries where they have QR codes that take you to more information.
Hmm.
Brian, I
Cool.
assume you
I have
mean
not-
that
I have
that's,
not seen that.
yeah, I assume you mean that's about the deceased, Brian, and not necessarily about the services of the cemetery. But wow.
Let me see if I can, here, I have a coffin right here. Let me see if I can show it to you.
Hey, what?
I mean,
There we go, right there.
What?
There's,
Oh,
No,
there's,
get-
there's,
that's
see,
half of
See
a-
now, don't you wish you had Johnny Ivy,
Yeah.
improving that for you, Mike?
Oh,
that's
my
half of a
back.
coffee table is what that is.
My
Get,
back.
get the other one in a glass topping set.
That one is a which one is that? That's a first generation Intel Mac Pro right there.
G3.
Wow.
2006.
no, the first Mac Pro.
I bet
The
Warren,
company I worked for paid a lot of money for that thing. I can't bear to
I-
get rid of it.
I don't want it. I
was
took
gonna
one
say, I
home
bet-
once. I took one
I
home
bet that-
once, and my wife yelled
It's a
at me.
Mac Studio Plus cubed.
Yeah.
It
I had
is.
one. My wife said, get rid of it. It's either me or that big thing. And I had to get rid of it.
yeah. Guys, this was a wild show, but thank you so much.
Yes.
We've had a lot of laughs and covered a bunch of stories. And the only thing I regret, and Brian, we will not do this. We will do this maybe next week because some of us will be on the way to Macstock. But early on, where was it? Brian had said for some, Macstock may be the first time people have traveled by air in a while. What new pieces of travel technology are people bringing that didn't exist in 2020? And so I'm going to leave everybody with that to think about that, and we'll start with that next week because that's a really interesting question. It seems like we were just at Macstock, but it's been what, like 3 years?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Has
Oh,
anything
really?
been?
I was
It
there
doesn't
in,
seem like I was just there. It seems like
Has
forever
technology
ago.
changed
yeah,
that
was
much
it
in 2
July
years?
or August in 2019? Which
July,
Yeah.
July.
Always July.
but very end of July.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Let's go around the room and let folks know where they can find you, and we'll get out of here. David Ginsburg, thank you for being here. And I guess we will see you at Macstock in about a week and a half.
Yes,
Where
we
can
will.
folks find you in the meantime?
You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. You have my YouTube channel at youtube.com/DaveG65. Here on Tuesdays, I'm on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network on Fridays. And you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Thanks again, Chuck.
Thank you, David. Warren, when you're off your meds or on your meds, where can folks find you?
Never going to happen. Actually, my joke was Elon Musk was not high for 30 minutes the other day, and he remembered to cancel Twitter. Anyhow, you can use that. I am on here next week. I will be traveling. I'll be on with Dave on Thursday. Mike, I decided just for you, I'm going to wear my Facebook branded T-shirt.
Oh,
I'm going to
wonderful.
bring my and basically just live streaming on
You have
Facebook.
to ban him.
The whole thing is just going to be live streamed just on Facebook. Just
I will
for
be
you.
in touch with the school's IT department to make sure they lock you out as soon as you walk in the door.
You got it. All right. I'll see you guys then.
All right. Jim Ray, where can folks find you? Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. It's always fun.
Well, you can find me at provue.com, PROVUE. And if you want to check out my bot account, that is at ProView Gym on
Seems
the
real to
not
me.
on the not it's I work very hard to make it look realistic.
The truth is now out there. That's
Don't
good.
tell Elon. He doesn't like him.
Yeah. Mike Potter, thank you so much for making the time for us tonight, in spite of being in the final stages of getting MacStock ready to roll. What's the best way for people to connect with you and with all your many activities?
Well, first, thank you for having me. Always a great honor to be here with all of you as well. MacStock Conference and Expo.com is MacStock's website. You can also find MacStock at youtube.com/MacStock, at MacStock Expo on Twitter. Technically, I guess I'm somewhere out there on Facebook, but maybe only Warren can find that. And then for Mac Guys only.
You should
For-
keep
for-
your pants on Facebook, by the way, just let you know the pictures.
You know, my wife and I were talking about whether I should wear pants or not during this tonight. I'm happy to say I did. And if I hadn't, I wouldn't have been able to show you my Mac Pro.
It's true.
So-
What were the pros and cons of that discussion?
the con
Mac Pro was a
or
pro.
the pro. Let's see, is it a con or a pro that we knew Chuck would never ever want to know that I sat here without pants on?
Well, Jeff does it all the time. So
Yeah,
Well, no,
yeah.
the truth is, no, here's how that came about. I had jeans on because I'd been working, we did the live stream today and I was working and helping out the store and stuff, and came back and it's warm today. And so I said, well, I really need to change to shorts. And Janet just said, well, it's, just make sure you have pants on when you do it. And I said, oh yeah, no problem. I realized there is a camera there. Anyway, for Mac Guys Only, that's my podcast. Now, I haven't been promoting it lately because we haven't been putting out very many episodes, but my regular co-host Eric and I have been talking about how we can bring it back on a regular basis, how we can work it into our busy schedules every week or every other week. So we may be bringing it back. So from 2016 was when I launched that podcast. 2015 was my first podcast, but 2016 was when we launched for Mac Guys Only, and we're both very eager to bring it back again on a regular basis. So watch for that sometime soon too.
awesome.
Great. Thank you, Mike. I will see you too in about a week and a half in Woodstock.
Mhm. Thank you.
Last but absolutely not least, the president of the Elon Musk fan club, Mr. Mark Fuccio. Mark, thank you for being here as always. Where can folks find you?
For as long as Twitter exists, the easiest way to get me is at Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio, all one word.
After that, we'll have to find a new ID for you.
I don't know if I need witness protection or if Twitter disappears, no one needs anything. We're all just going to disappear and become anonymous.
Isn't
Or
that
we might read books.
what a concept. What a concept. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices Live. We do this every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We would love to have you join us in the YouTube chat room at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. And I want to thank especially the crew there tonight. A lot of good discussions, a lot of good questions and comments. We always appreciate your participation and love having you. With that, once again, MacStock Conference and Expo.com. Be there. You have just a few days left to get a ticket, and be reasonably assured of a t-shirt, or purchase a ticket late and Mike will ship you a t-shirt. But whatever
I'll
you do,
ship you a t-shirt.
yeah,
Gosh
get to
darn it.
Woodstock and join us. We're going to have a blast. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching.
Can I say it now?
Be my
It's
guest.
after dark. It's after
Fuck
dark.
Putin.
and Mike is like, what was that?
What?
It's a tradition going back several months.
Similar to
I have a support
underpants.
Ukraine sign on the door at the office
Yeah.
Oh,
with a QR code that leads people to a post to my site where they can make donations to the proper causes.
Sounds like with these new missiles, that's exactly what is happening right now. Hopefully,
What's that? What did I miss?
US, that they
we
used
gave
their
them
missiles.
these HIMARS missiles, and they're blowing up all the Russian ammunition dumps.
I'm gonna
Good.
kick off. I'm too happy to talk about war and politics, so I'm gonna go to sleep, I think.
Hey, Warren,
Um,
go check out Amazon. I'm sure you can get, lots of other exciting deals there too.
I
You got-
I mean, I'd just be one of millions and millions of others. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
See you
Take
next time.
care.
I won't-
Bye-bye. Good night.
And I'm going to take off as well because I promised my wife that we would still be able to get out on a walk tonight, and it's still early enough to do so. So
Good.
we're gonna go out and do that.
Well, just make sure you check the pants situation before you step out of the door.
Good to see you, Mike. Take care.
Yep,
Thanks for
we're good.
joining.
He's got his shorts on.
Okay.
I got shorts on.
All right.
Good to see you, Mike.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
Good to see you too.
Take care.
Thanks,
We'll see
Mark.
you.
Thanks, Jim. See you soon.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my.
Now you can talk about me.
While he's trying to
That's what
distract.
we have been doing.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
Oh,
See you guys.
take care. So Brad in the chat room wants me to stand up. No, Brad, I'd like to maintain the mystery.
Are you wearing a kilt?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah.
Well, you're a golfer. I mean, what do they wear out on the golf course? Yeah.
Pants.
Pants and shorts. I mean, the days of the kilts are, I mean, once in a while you'll see the +4s. Somebody decides to dress up with the socks or the knee-high socks and all, but that kind of went away.
You got the British
some-
Open coming up. They might be there. You might see a few.
Hmm. Oh, sorry.
So where
Brian's
did you
not
stay in Vegas?
Treasure Island.
Okay.
It's
Good home
it's
base.
yeah, it's not, honestly, if we have a preference, we prefer the Venetian or the Palazzo, but you're never in the hotel room. So why pay for, the suite when, TI is clean and it's safe and that's all you need.
Isn't Treasure Island set for destruction and redevelopment?
That's Mirage.
Oh,
That's,
Mirage. Okay.
well, I don't know. Is that are you talking about
Mirage
the
is going
Mirage
to
or
become
the
a Hard
Rio?
Rock.
Yeah, I don't think Mirage is going to be demoed.
Oh, that's right.
The,
They're converting it to the Hard Rock, and then
yeah. Now
yeah, the Rio. I think the Rio. You're right. It's the Rio.
well, the Rio now, according to the Lyft drivers, they've got the inside scoop on things, but
course.
two things. First of all, I guess MGM bought it,
Right.
and then and is renting it back because they've got 2 years worth of contracts on the World Championship Poker tournament
Mhm.
thing.
And I'm up at the Star Trek convention.
Yeah, well, no, but that's not there this year. Now that's moved over to Bally's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I thought they was going to go, but one guy said he had it on real good authority that Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons of Kiss are talking about buying it.
The Rio?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because the Kiss mini golf is over there, and apparently Gene has moved his personal collection of memorabilia over there as an attraction, and now they're talking about buying the whole thing. So it wouldn't be beyond them to have a Kiss hotel.
So sorely needs a lot of updating though.
Yeah. Well, some of it. I mean, there are parts of it that definitely need it, but there are other parts that are just fine. So I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
We'll
now you got to go to Bally's. At least it's going to be closer to on the Strip now.
Yeah, that makes eating a whole lot easier.
Yeah. So is the tunnel done now that it's at Resorts International, or are they going to keep on going down the strip?
I think they said they have like 33 different stations planned.
Oh, that's
You
going to
know,
be great.
They're
I
going to
don't-
extend it to Los Angeles.
Good.
I tell you, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean,
But
because
that's just huge for the Strip because there were a lot of dead spots you couldn't get to
yeah,
by mass transit.
I mean, the big question is going to be, now this is in Resorts World, how many places, because the taxi lobby fought so hard against the monorail and trams and everything. And so, how successful can Elon be? I don't know. but
Well,
I sure
check out
hope
the
so.
Resorts World. So
Yeah. Paul says Bowie's is moving. That's new. Didn't hear that one before.
there was talk. I think I remember.
So I don't know. Vegas is always a good time. Vegas is always changing.
Oh,
You know,
It sure is.
every
How's the
time you go,
temperature?
there's-
it was hot. It was,
Yeah,
between 100 to 105.
right. That's pretty toasty.
Yeah,
I could see
but
you retiring there, Chuck. One of these days, you just decide, you know what, I'm moving.
nah, I don't know. I mean, the locals were having a stroke because the one day the humidity was 14%,
Oh my
and
god,
they were
Kill me
dying.
now.
You know,
I'm here with
Otherwise-
with an 80 and 90% humidity.
exactly. Yeah, it's like you people don't know what humidity is. So
Yeah, I was there in June a couple years ago. About 12, 15 years ago for a convention. And for 3 days in a row it was like 119 to 121. And on the fourth day it went down to 109. And you could
Oh.
really see the the relief in the heat and the temperature.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's-
Imagine thinking 109 is, this is
But
quite
it's a dry
refreshing.
heat.
It
Yeah.
is.
well, they said this was the first year. Oh yeah, I want to tell you guys this, but they said this was the first year in I don't know how many that for July 4th for the fireworks that it was sub 100.
Mhm.
Which was 99, 98, but still sub 100. But this is one I wanted to share with you guys. The first day we got there had the local news on, and they said that, and this was their phrase, so you can take it for what it's worth, that in the month of May, the Nevada casinos had won $1.3 billion. Okay,
They
in the
won
month
it?
of May. In the month of May. And that was the 13th month in a row that the winnings had exceeded $1 billion per month.
The casinos won this.
The casinos, that was the way they
This is the
phrased it.
take by the house.
That they
Yeah,
got their
that's-
money.
Yep.
So I don't know what, 3 years ago before COVID, what would have been, same amount, 2 million, sorry, 2 billion, 4 billion. Do you have any way
I
to
don't know
put
if
it
it's
in
in
context
billions.
for us?
Don't know. Can't answer that. Can't
But
answer.
that's just now. That's just, you said it's still over 1 million.
What?
You said you said million or billion?
Billion.
Billion.
B.
1 billion.
B with a
1
billion.
billion. Okay.
Yeah. And over half of that was on the strip.
Yeah, of course.
Mhm. That makes sense.
So
I mean, stuff is coming back, and like it or not, people are
Yeah.
opening up.
You got Henderson, you got Summerlin, you got, there's plenty of other places there. There's stuff besides the strip.
yeah. So anyway, it's still a great vacation spot.
Oh,
Yeah.
we love
I enjoy
Vegas.
it too.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we tried to go there in the cooler climates, sort of September to April, Mayish, avoid the heat in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot of
We-
people from
we-
California moving there.
We kind of got in the habit of going to over July 4th because of course Cindy was working as a teacher and
Sure.
she only had the summers off. So we were leveraging the July 4th holiday, but we were talking about
stuff.
this year and saying, maybe we need to shift that to either spring or fall. Just to avoid the killer heat. Okay.
Temperature would help you.
And did you have any problems with flights?
Had 3 flights canceled, but was able to rebook and only ended up being delayed by a day. And in theory, we could have come home a little bit easier, but I just refused to take connecting flights because then you're stuck in God knows where.
Right.
You know.
So did you get stuck at airports, or did you just stay at home or at the hotel until everything came together?
At the hotel because the cancellations were early enough that we were able to, just keep the hotel room for a night.
Great.
And then once we got, back out to the airport, everything was fine. We had about half an hour delay, but big deal, So.
Yeah.
So that's
Right.
about it. That's about it. Things are back. I guess we'll do the show next week and then we'll all be headed to, well, some of us, excuse me, will be headed out to see David and Mike.
In Chi-Town
Yes, sir.
or outside of Chi-Town, yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, you guys aren't going to be able to make it this year.
Practically Wisconsin. You're
What?
muted, Dave.
Yeah. What did you?
It's
Oh, no.
practically, yeah, it's pretty, yeah, you go west.
Can you hear me?
Now you can.
Oh, I didn't mute.
Hmm.
I said, no, it's not.
Actually, what would be fun sometime is you do that maybe next year, is do it and then form a group and then head up to Milwaukee for a
Yeah.
day or two.
Yeah, Milwaukee's a quick trip from there.
Why?
Yeah. It's a fun town, a lot of breweries, and nice area.
Not as many breweries as you think. A lot of them have closed down.
True, but they still have a fair number of breweries.
Yep.
You know, a lot of craft breweries as well as
Right. You know,
Not
the big ones.
not the
a
major
lot of
ones.
them,
Yeah.
Miller and Pabst and
Breweries and distilleries are going crazy. Well, and wineries too are crazy in this area.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of them that are popping up is just amazing. I just have to wonder when there'll be a shakeout.
I mean, you can go wineries in the Midwest and in Michigan. There's tons of wineries
Mhm.
out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I'm going to say goodnight to the chat room.
Bye,
Guys,
Jared.
thank you very much for being here. Always a pleasure. We will see you next week. And I have no idea what we're doing next week, but that's sort of routine.
Tuesday.
So, yeah, it's Tuesday. That's good enough. Take care. Good night.
All right.
Hi, everybody.
Good night, chat room.
Whoops. Cancel.